Hey there everyone, today's lesson is on Flowers for Algernon, chunk 2. So first I want to show you on Google Classroom. So I'm on an iPad right now, but I want to still show you on Google Classroom what it looks like. So this is 9920, Flowers for Algernon chunk 2 activities. First task is to watch this video. Then you need to read chunk 2, which is that PDF right down there below. And then there is an attached worksheet, which is we're referring to as chunk 2 activities. Okay, great. So first what I want to do is I want to go over the assignment. This is when you click on the assignment for the worksheet or the packet on chunk 2 activities. You will see that the first bit is reading comprehension questions. And these aren't terribly difficult. These are just checking your understanding of the text. So there are 7 questions there. The making the inference section is one that I want to hover on for a moment and explain. So I'm sure you've practiced with inference before, but it's a problematic skill for a lot of students. It's tested on the ACT, and I want to talk about it a little bit more in depth today. So an inference is taking clues from the reading and making an educated guess as to what those clues mean. So we make inferences all the time in our lives. For example, if you walk in on 2 people having a conversation and they both stop talking the moment you come in, while one person's crying and the other is standing with arms crossed and sweat beading on his forehead, you can make a guess, you can infer that you just walked in on an argument. You don't have to see the argument in action. You can just look at the clues and know that something had just gone on. Making an inference is sometimes described as reading between the lines. So what I would like for you to do in this section is I've copied and pasted 2 sections from chunk 2. So there's a lot of inference making that has to go on because Charlie, we see it, what's going on through his eyes, and he doesn't understand a whole lot right now. So all we have is him as a narrator. He's not a terribly reliable one right now. So when we read the whole chunk, and specifically these 2 excerpts from the chunk, these are spots when we have to infer what's going on. We have to take the clues that Charlie has given us, and we have to put them all together and make an educated guess on what they're saying. So I want to take a moment and talk about inference and take a look at some pictures. So the New York Times has this wonderful segment in it, and it's for high school students, and it's called What's Going On in This Picture. And so I'm going to show you a series of photographs that require you to make an inference. So if you look at this picture right here, and you look at what's going on, just think about what is going on in this picture? What can we assume? If we look at the visual details, obviously, there are a lot of people packed in a stairwell. If you look at the faces, the vast majority of them look in quite a bit of despair. Look at the blue t-shirt guy, his face. The guy with the yellow armband at the very forefront of the picture with his hands on his head. He definitely seems like he's distraught. People leaning their heads up against the wall. Guy in red shorts with his arm, he's leaning on the wall. They look like they're waiting, obviously, for something. And it doesn't seem like it's something very good. So, I don't know. Think about what can you infer from this? Next one. Here we have a little girl. The ground's wet. Tents are inside of this structure that honestly doesn't look too much better than being outside. What is going on in this picture? Here's another one. So it's raining. There's a hippo right in the middle. If you look really closely at the hippo's ear, it looks almost like it's a tranquilizer shot of some sort, maybe to calm the animal. There are people, like a lot of people there, pushing the hippo up up the hill. The ground looks really slippery with mud. A man on the left of the picture has a stick. So what inference can we make? What's going on in this picture? Here's another one. So there's a guard. There's one of those mirrors that's trying to see all around, like you see at a convenience store that looks down the aisles. One kid, he doesn't have any shoes on. Typically when you don't have your shoes on, you're kind of at a place where you're home, because if you're outside of your home, you're wearing shoes. He's watching a kids program. He's watching Casper. He's in this kind of looking holding cell, but doesn't look like a jail, but it definitely looks like some kind of a holding cell. Where do you think this kid is? What inference can be made? So this particular picture is about an immigration facility, a holding cell for people who were caught going across the border. So I'm not sure if that's what you thought it was, but if you did, your inference skills were right on target. This one is a rescue mission for Hippo after a national disaster where it was near a zoo. There was flooding. This is in a war-torn area that people have had to set up camp inside of it. I think it's in Serbia where this is, where this little girl, this is where she lives. And it's people who've been displaced, and this is where they're living. And I'm not exactly sure what these people are waiting for, but I mean, if I could do a little bit of research, but if you guessed that they're waiting and they're not happy about it, those are all clues that tell us the context. Okay, so that's inference. So if you look at the text for today, this is it right here. Progress report 4. And then it goes on to progress report 7. So there are some specific areas within this that I would like for you to look closely at in the document. So if you see here, Charlie witnesses Dr. Niemer and Dr. Strauss arguing. What is this argument about? So I specifically want you to look at this section. And this section. And then in below, if you could, right here, explain what you think they're arguing about. What's going on? And then down here, I specifically want you to pay attention to this section and this right here. Okay. All right. So again, your task today is to read this carefully and to go to the document, which is in Google Classroom. The first part is comprehension. The second part is making an inference. There are only 2 examples there for that. The third part addresses character motivation. Motivation is the reason behind a character's actions or behavior. So I want you to take each of these 3 people and identify what you think their motivations are. And then here, opinion extended response. So Charlie is getting experimented on. Do you think it's ethical or morally acceptable to use human subjects for medical experiments? How should experiments be conducted to ensure that they're effective and have a safe outcome? So please write 3 to 5 sentences in this text box explaining your views on this. And please also make sure that you proofread your work. Okay, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions.